Hey, good morning. Yosef here. So, a good friend of mine asked me yesterday, what is the difference between an ENFP and ENTP? He actually is an ENTP, and I'm an ENFP. And I started thinking about it. I mean, he's not so familiar with the Myers-Briggs system. Just trying to think of how to, convert the information to somebody who doesn't understand functions fully. And as I started to think about it, I started to understand it a lot better. So I'll give you the rundown. So initially, an ENFP and ENTP could look very similar. They both have the first function of extroverted intuition. They're both going to be usually charismatic. They're both usually going to be really, really good at understanding people, at reading people, really good at coming up with solutions to problems, especially problems that deal with like interpersonal relationships. They're both going to be really good at imagination, ideas, business. They both are going to have this very strong external imagination, intuition. Very often they could be the characters, and they could be funny, and they could be quite entertaining. But when you start looking deeper inside of them, like what really gets them going, that's where you're going to start to see more of the true, the true self of the person. So I look at it almost as like you have the automatic going on, which is like just the thoughts that go on, and the intuition, and the ideas, and the entertainment. It's like the automatic mode, and then you have like the realness. Now I'll explain to you. I'll give you an example of the realness to explain it. So, my friend will come back from a date, for example, and he'll talk about the dates, whatever. It was this, it was that, and then it'll be like, at one point the girl made a comment. She's like, "I don't believe in therapy," and you see how like lit up he gets. Like, wait a second, she doesn't believe in therapy. Like his deep second function, introverted thinking, his deep like personalized view of the world, of opinions, of things, has been stimulated, and you see this whoa in his eyes. Like, all right, let me ask her more about it. While an ENFP would come back from a date and be like, she was talking about her parents, and I saw this like deep sadness in her eyes. I felt it through and through my body, and like something more going on. And the ENTP would revert back to be like, okay, but like, let's think about it more logically. He's not gonna get as caught up in the feelings as it gets more caught up in like the logic behind things. So an ENTP would be much less likely to be sold to the system, to the Myers-Briggs system, for example. Why? Because we have all these intuitions going through our mind, and we have all these imaginations, and we have all these things which are very often are true. We're excellent both personality types at reading people. But if you're following your feelings, you're going to believe a lot more because you feel it. You feel that the person you're sitting across has been through trauma. You're going to believe it more if you're an ENFP because you have that introverted feeling. You follow that gut a lot more. While the ENTP is going to be more skeptical because he needs the logic behind it. Another example is exactly this. Like, you come back from a date and like you have like this like these thoughts, these intuitions that kind of automatically pop through your mind. These thoughts that flash through you regarding how you perceive her. ENFP will be like, that's it. I'm in it. I'm not in it. I'm going to trust those a lot more because my gut feeling tells me to. Oh, the ENTP won't trust that as much. He can be amazing at reading people. Doesn't matter. Like, he's going to question it because I don't know it for a fact. These are just thoughts. I don't have proof of this. In other words, behind the scenes, the inner self that controls all the automatic processes that go through your mind has more of a logical, it gives more of a logical stamp on things than a gut feeling stamp on things. And I know this is very, very this is like a nuance almost, and that's why these examples kind of try and illustrate the difference between the two. Essentially, just because you ENFP me, I have introverted feeling, which means a deep sense of inner value, while the ENTP will have an introverted thinking, which is like a deep sense of personal belief. They both, the ENTP can also have a very personal value system where he feels very strongly about things. He will feel very strongly about things, especially if he's more balanced. And the ENFP could also get stimulated by logic. It's almost like what is more of the core drive behind things. That's the best way I could explain it. And one other thing I want to finish with is you look at the hobbies of an ENTP and ENFP. An ENTP can love debating, can love fascinating conversation with people and hearing different opinions and questioning things and stimulating that introverted sense of thinking of his opinions, of he gets more lit up when he gets to use that inner sense of how he perceives things and what he's thought through. While an ENFP will kind of enjoy more the reaction stimulus of people, when you see the reaction of somebody, or somebody is very OCD and you move their pen across the room, or and you get to watch the reaction more. So the ENTP could very often love debating a lot more, or love having stimulating conversations and having all the kinds of having all kinds of more almost logical based stimulations, versus the ENFP would be more of a emotional experiential type experiences. That's the best way that I can explain it. I'm sorry it wasn't that clear, but I hope I did give it some justice. Later, guys.